Hi everybody, welcome to this live chat on the theme of Outdoor Wellbeing Retreats. Hopefully I'm going to be joined by Shona shortly, and we're going to be chatting through a bit about kind of the context of what that means in terms of the journeys that we run, and hopefully giving you a bit more of an idea of what to expect if you were to join a wild camping journey with us this summer. So hopefully Shona is going to appear. Hey, just like magic. Great. Love it when the technology works.
This might be a first for us, Anna.
I know, it's always that like awkward silence of like, are they going to appear? Are they not going to appear? Anyway, they're here. So great. So I was just saying that we're going to just be chatting a little bit about our journeys that we'll be running this summer and the context of them in relation to this kind of phrase, outdoor wellbeing retreat. So do you want to start off by introducing yourself?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Shona McPherson, and I'm based in Inverness in the Highlands, and I work as a counsellor and as a life coach, and I just love, lots of my work is indoors, but I just love working with clients outdoors and being in the outdoors myself, walking or running or cycling, big part of who I am. Yeah, is that enough?
Yeah, it's just good to have a bit of context, isn't it?
Yeah.
In terms of myself, I am a mountain leader, so I work in the mountains all year round and guide all different styles of journeys. And the ones we've shown particularly have this kind of well-being focus, although it is something that I probably try to bring to all of my guiding. And my background before I was a mountain leader, I worked in kind of earth science-based education, conservation education. So for those of you who've been out on the hill with me, you know I like to talk about landscape, so bring a lot of that to the journeys as well. Me and Shona met back in, when was it? A few years ago now.
2018 maybe, was it?
2018, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
We were both actually doing a mountain leadership course at the time, and just stayed in touch and kind of had this shared connection for being in the outdoors, but being in the outdoors in a way that was kind of different to always going as fast and as far as possible.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk about the well-being side of things then. So I think both of us kind of feel really strongly that being outdoors has a big influence on or positive influence on our well-being. So do you want to chat a bit more about how that manifests?
Yeah. So how I sort of see well-being in the context of being in the outdoors in these retreats. Yeah. So lots of things I could say, so I'm going to try and be quite concise because it's one of my favourite topics. But I think a big part of it is just getting away from the splat and the busyness and the structure and the routine of everyday life and everyday thought and everyday feeling. And by physically taking ourselves away into a non-man-made environment, I think I know we experience life differently. Our perspective can change. We can, and we'll talk later about how we help do this, but we can get less pushed around by thoughts. We can maybe be in a place where we can let feelings come and go a bit more rather than them pushing us around as well. And like our nervous systems, just in the day-to-day, I think for most of us, we're kind of on high alert and our nervous systems are pretty ramped up the whole time. And I think anyone listening to this probably gets this, that just kind of when we begin to spend a bit more time outside, there can just be a bit of a dropping into our body and dropping into place, and we can begin to sort of calm down our nervous system. And of course, sometimes it's also ramped up in the outdoors if we're like, oh, this is a bit out of my comfort zone, but it's a healthy stress response rather than these sort of chronic stresses that we have in the everyday life. And also in terms of our well-being, I won't say too much more, Anna, because I think it's really good to hear both of our voices in equal measure. But being in the presence of beauty and having the time and space to notice beauty, it can cause feelings of awe and feelings of wonder, which have amazing impacts on our well-being. And we can forget ourselves in a really healthy way as well. I think the sort of the day-to-day worries or importance that we put on ourselves or how we look or all that kind of thing, it can just begin to drop away, and we can see ourselves in the family of things, in the family of life. But yeah, much more I could say. But let's get you to respond to that same question, Anna. What does well-being mean for you in the context of retreats?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree with everything that you just said, but there's a kind of another layer of it, which is on this lines of kind of being connected to, having the opportunity to connect with nature, and part of that for me is really this kind of ability to understand a little bit more about our natural landscapes and how us as humans are a part of a natural landscape rather than being different to it, rather than it being something that we just exist on. We kind of exist within it, and that spending time outside in wild places and having that space to look and experience awe and wonder and ask questions about what we're seeing and understand that a bit more connects us to the natural world. And through that connection, it benefits our own well-being, because it has a lot of benefits for your mental health and how you kind of think and feel about yourself, but it's also a benefit to our planet. And I think fundamentally at the bottom of all my guiding is that if we want to have a sustainable future where we have a planet Earth to enjoy and generations to come, then we all need to be a bit more connected to it and to learn to understand it and love it a bit more. So there's two kind of sides to the well-being element for me. It's the well-being of us as people, but also the kind of future well-being of the planet as well.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Very much so. And I think that's one of the reasons I feel very drawn to work with you. I would hate to be using these amazing landscapes that we work in as a commodity, that kind of one-way relationship where we go in and we beast something, or we have an adventure, done it, and we've ticked it off, or that kind of language. I think it turns both of our stomachs. Although I have been called a bagger many times, but that relatedness to landscape and to that respect and that love, and we don't sort of in any way sort of push people to, people feel what they feel, but I think it's inevitable consequence of coming on the retreats and sleeping in the outdoors that you will be more in love with these places and want to tread more lightly.
Yeah, I like that phrase, tread more lightly. Yeah. And it's never, I think both of us also agree that it's great going as fast and as far as you can in the mountains and seeing how many Munros you can climb in a day. And we both also love doing that. But if you only ever do that, then you miss this opportunity to really connect with these places and kind of get that mental well-being side of things as well as the physical well-being. And you mentioned the word retreat there, which again has become a kind of real buzzword in modern day culture, and so much so that I actually kind of actively originally tried to leave it out of what we call our we often, on my website you'll see these experiences referred to as journeys rather than retreats, but they are a retreat. So let's talk a bit about what we mean by that word retreat in this context.
So retreats, I suppose maybe very briefly, I brought it back a little bit of my own language in, because I used to run indoor retreats for a couple of years, and people have said, "Oh, are you doing those anymore?" And I'm like, "Oh, I do retreats, but they're outside." So I guess retreats meaning getting away from the everyday life, by giving yourself the gift of time in these beautiful spaces. Retreating in a very positive way from the the everyday life, the routines, unplugging from technology. That's definitely one for me that I need to do a lot. Letting go of physical stuff, because really we'll talk a bit maybe later about what we give folks on the retreats, but you really need to bring very little. And you're letting go of hopefully responsibilities and the distractions. So giving yourself time to be with yourself and to be with nature in all its fullness. So time to slow down and to listen, and to be. And sometimes when we slow down, our minds do speed up. It doesn't necessarily mean that it might be it's pretty different, I guess, to an indoor sort of spa retreat or something like that. But it's moving our bodies in really sort of different ways that I think, yeah. Anyway, I was waffling. Anything
It's
you want?
funny because I often want to like write in the descriptions when I'm talking about these journeys, you know, an opportunity to rest. Because to me, it's an opportunity to rest from our busy everyday lives and to inhabit, you know, the privilege of inhabiting that different space for a moment. But obviously, it's also quite physical. So in that sense, the rest maybe doesn't always apply to people, but it definitely is in some ways very restful and restorative.
Yes, and I think there can be a real restfulness that can come from wandering. Maybe I'll just say it now, Anna, and you'll probably say
Yeah,
it, but we've got sort of two big options in terms of the 2 night wellbeing retreats, I'll just say it, wanders, journeys. So one is sort of the higher level with quite a bit of ascent, and that's a tougher weekend, but still with lots of space built in. And the other one is the lower level, so there isn't so much ascent, and it's a slower pace. But within both of those, I think that walking, we build in silence into our walks at times, and things like that. So it can be, some people don't like sitting around in a sort of and I'm making a generalization, retreats are all different, but you know, for some people the idea of that kind of indoor retreat sitting around would be quite difficult. Some people really like to move and be in their bodies, so it can be restful. It's never a bee sting, is it?
no, no.
No.
And even I will come, actually, I should have said at the beginning that if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. And there's a few questions that people have sent me previously that we'll come to at the end, and a little bit more about the kind of physical side of things then. But you mentioned a little bit there about kind of silent walking. So let's talk a bit more about some of the different ways that we kind of, I guess, proactively introduce opportunities to really engage with this kind of well-being side of things and mindfulness side of things.
Yeah. So yeah, practical invitations that we offer folks, as well as the daily journeys that we're making to get from one place to the next, are including a morning practice, which is a sort of a stretching practice that's sort of looking to the different compass areas, and a sit spot, a sort of a journaling. I give everybody a tiny little book and pen, and with sort of different prompts or questions, and we encourage people to have time just to sit and to find space to answer these questions, not with anybody else, but just for themselves. And yeah, we build in opportunities for silent walking. Definitely there's times where we chat and it's sociable, but also just quiet times to walk, and different exercises. Everything's optional, but different exercises to engage your senses. And one thing that I'd love to do, but Anna and I haven't even talked about this yet, but to build in the optional sketching practices for people who like to sort of express themselves. Not everybody, words isn't always our thing, is it? And sometimes of doodles and sketching practices is something that I've been looking into a wee bit. Yeah, what have I missed? You've got lots of other input, Anna, so I'll let you now say other practices that we do or invite people to.
Well, just I guess more on the kind of deeper connection with the landscape through understanding. Then there's often, from my side, I try to kind of contribute different ways to engage with the story of the landscape. So sometimes that might be kind of what people traditionally think of as like thinking a little bit about the geology side of things and how the rocks were formed and what the story of the kind of earth beneath our feet is. But sometimes it's in sort of softer ways. So I've gathered a kind of whole collection of stories and poems and different ways to explore the stories of the landscape. So in relation to people, how people have lived and moved in those places in the past, or discoveries that have been made there. I'm trying to get better at my kind of Gaelic interpretation of the landscape and how we can kind of gain a sense of place through, in Scotland, through understanding where the place names come from and things like that. So usually very impromptu when somebody kind of sparks an interest in something, or we see a particular view or a particular rock, but definitely making opportunities within the journey to have these, I guess, more thought out engagements with the stories of the landscape. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something I suppose this will be our second year working together on this, and I think it's something that we've with each trek we've got more synchronized. Would that be the word? In our offerings, kind of working together on, and I'm learning a lot from you about the landscape and geology and all of that, and I love it. It just gives us more understanding of these places and ways in. Yeah,
Both ways round as well. So the experiences are valuable. And I think one of the other things that we often talk about that's kind of, I mean, it's a less I don't know, it's a more practical side of things, but all of the journeys that we offer, so both the one night 2-day and 2-night 3-day journeys have so we provide all of the camping equipment, so all you need to bring is your own kind of personal walking footwear and clothing that you would normally on any day walk, and we also provide all of the food, which is a delicious, wholesome food made by a local chef to me, and she's got an amazing menu for us this year. So what that means is you can kind of turn up to the experience without having all the stress of organising all of that and trying to think about what you need to keep you warm and dry and looking after your tent and things. And also at the end of the weekend, you can just kind of leave the weekend and have space to take it all in, rather than having to sort out all of your gear and everything that you might otherwise do. So even if, I suppose the point is, even if you are confident at going camping on your own, you might want to allow yourself the opportunity for someone else to do all the hard work for you. And that gives you the kind of headspace and the enjoyment, just to be able to be in that place. You don't have to think about where we're going, what we're doing, what time it is, because that's my job. So
absolutely.
And actually I keep thinking I'm actually on the lookout for a retreat to go on so that somebody else can do all the thinking for me. So I definitely see the advantage in, because I know it is expensive and you're often thinking, what am I investing in? But all of these things allow you the kind of space to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think that is such an important thing to say. And Anna and I, one of the reasons that we do these retreats is that we're passionate about removing barriers to access to the outdoors. And I know when I first started wild camping and hiking on my own, I wasn't equipped. I'm very lucky, nothing went terribly wrong. Just to be able to go and be looked after and to trial all the kit and to have someone to help teach us about campcraft if that's not something we're so savvy about. And it's great when people come back another year, but also we know we've done a good job if somebody comes once and then gets advice on the kit and is out on their own doing things and doing training courses that we recommend and things like that. So it's a really important point. And Anna, you just mentioned money there, and you were saying, some people are saying it's quite expensive. Can you just say how much it is, and just to say to everybody again, like, what is included in the figure? That I'm so bad at numbers, I can't remember. That's why I'm asking. But what is included in that figure is basically you show up, all of the food, all of the kit is there, and you're looked after for the either 3 nights.
All the details are on the website. So the women's wellbeing journeys, which are the longer journeys, so they're 3 days and 2 nights, and they are 395. And then the one wild night wellbeing wonders, which are open to everybody, are 2 days, 1 overnight wild camp, and I think they're 225. I'm catching my own. For that, obviously all of the food, all the equipment is provided. You're also getting the kind of input from 2 professionals, like Shona was just saying. So, very much aim that, you know, you won't need to come back on another one with us. You'll have the confidence to be able to go and make these connections and enjoy wild camping on your own. Although obviously we would love it if you did want to come back again and have everything looked after for you. And obviously, you know, Shona has her professional input as well. So there's that side of things. The other side of things is all the kind of preparation before and after, in terms of looking after dirty equipment, having to dry your tent, clean your tent, all of that stuff. You know, it takes me quite a lot of time to get ready for a trek and to tidy up afterwards. So there's input there as well. And ultimately that means you can just kind of go home and, yeah, you'll have a little bit of dirty washing, but generally it's fairly...
So it's supporting local business, and Anna, you're supporting a local catering business as well through doing it.
Yeah, and I do, you know, in line with the kind of sustainability element that we were talking about, you know, I don't go for the cheapest options when it comes to food and all of the things that we're using, and I try to make a conscious effort to source things that might be a little bit more expensive, but also have a minimal impacts in terms of the environment. So and yeah, supporting all of the local businesses where I can. Yeah.
Hey Anna, what have you, just coming towards the end, aren't we?
Yeah.
Throughout for listening, and please do give us your questions. And this is a really fun question, I think, maybe in coming towards the end. What memories from we did how many treks? We did 3 last year, 3 outdoor retreats and 2 one-day ones, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of memories do you stand out for you from last year?
I was thinking about this earlier, and there's so many, but I think one really powerful thing that came out of last year was one of the early high journeys that we did in the Cairngorms, and I don't know why, but for some reason, just particularly on that journey, I really tuned into the plant life in the Cairngorms. And you know, on that high plateau, that's, you know, a lot of it's above 1,000 meters, it's under snow for so much of the year, and I think we all started noticing kind of the amazing flowers and all of these different lichens and mosses, and
that was
a flower called
wasn't it?
Yeah, around Lochaber.
Yeah.
And you know, these beautiful, delicate little pink flowers that it just were such a sign of resilience, and I think I often kind of come back to that. And that for me, that kind of the memories that you make from these trips, the ones that stay with you and that you can come back to on a day when, you know, things are not so great and you're needing a little bit of kind of extra from nature. I think back to those little flowers on the high plateau and their resilience, and think, no, I can do this. I can be a bit tougher. But you know, there's also so many other things. But that was definitely something, that opportunity to really connect with with that plantscape, as it was. Yeah.
Yes.
What about you?
I think that maybe because it's the most recent one I think that we did was we were in Glen Nevis, and I think it's memories of the group actually that 2 memories of the group that have stood out, because the group it's just, they're always different and we never quite know how the dynamic's going to be, and it just always works, isn't it? And there's a lovely lady who was in she's an Irish jig dancer. We didn't realise this until and we did an impromptu.
No, a professional Irish jig dancer.
Professional, yeah. What's that? A famous
a river dance.
River dance, yeah, she was in a river dance and everything. So she just gave us an impromptu. We had our midgie nets on, which is not always a feature, but can be, unfortunately. And we had our midge nets on, and she was teaching us Irish jigs outside this bothy at, I don't know, like 9 o'clock in the morning before we went. And then later in that day, the sun was, we were just walking out, weren't we? And it was the last day, and then we were just having our lunch by the river Nevis there, and we were just by a pool, and the sun just came out, and one of the ladies just said, "Come on, that we're jumping in." So 2 hardy people got in, and the rest of us were just going, "Oh yeah, good on you." And then by the end of it, we were all in that pool having bathed. And or I think maybe one person didn't, and that was also good, because that's maybe emphasizing everything is a choice. And you know, we're always, something we really encourage is that we create structure, but within that there's always freedom. But yeah, the people, just, and to see their joy in just being in that water, and we were swimming, looking up onto Ben Nevis and the Annis, and it was just just one of those moments that will just stay. Yeah,
and fuel you for a long time. So that's hopefully what you give yourself by having this extended period out in the hills is the opportunity for memories that will kind of fuel you for a long time.
Absolutely.
I was going to say one. I know we better stop talking soon because people will already not want to be listening to us. But one other thing that I really enjoyed about one other memory that stood out for me from last year was again in the Cairngorms, and it might have been the very first journey actually. So the first kind of multi-day wild camping journey that I'd ever led, and we were coming up out of Lochaber Basin, and the path there runs alongside the edge of it's quite a steep path, and it runs alongside of the edge of the burn that comes over, and because of all the snow melt, the burn was pretty high, so it made it quite a challenging exit from our weekend, and it was on the final day as well, and some people found it quite difficult and did need a little bit of support to kind of stay calm and overcome the challenge in the moment. But actually, I think it was just that perfect balance. And you mentioned it earlier, this kind of way, actually, if you put yourself in a kind of physically and mentally sometimes a little bit challenging position, and then you overcome it, that can be really rewarding and can kind of give you a place to come back to when you're in that place at other points in your life as well. So that was for me a really fun moment, and just seeing everyone's faces of disbelief of like, what, we're not going up there, and then everyone being at the top and being like, we did go up there, that was great.
That resilience, like you say, that these moments give us, that we can do hard things. Somebody's saying Ugelato Outdoor Adventure, post some pictures of those mountain flowers and lichens. You did a lovely post.
Oh yeah, I did. I'll share the post from that to my stories afterwards, and you can catch it there, because I think I did write about it at the time. I know there's been a few nice comments. Sorry, I'm really rubbish at catching up with things. A few people saying they'd like to join us, which would be brilliant. Yes, please come. And one thing I was going to say was that it's really, as a small business, I mean, I say a business, it's not really a business, it's just me. And Shona works with me on some of these journeys. And it's really valuable to us that if you are thinking of coming, and if you're planning to come, that if you are able to book it, or you can book by just paying a deposit, and if you're able to do that sooner rather than later, that's really helpful to our planning, because it means we know whether the journey is viable to go ahead, and it also means that you've secured a place. So if you're thinking about booking, do it. That would be brilliant, and we'd love to have you. And on that note, then I'll just finish. Well, one question that a few people asked a kind of similar question, which was about this kind of what is the physical level of challenge of these journeys. So this kind of goes hand in hand. I'll talk about this just hand in hand with the different journeys that we offer, and then we will finish up. So this year we're offering something different for the first time. So we've got these 1 night, 2-day journeys that we're calling One Wild Night Wellbeing Wonders. These are open to everybody, and they're really, I guess, kind of introductory experiences to wild camping, to this wellbeing element, and take place over a weekend. So you can travel on Saturday. The idea is that you can travel on the Saturday morning, be home on the Sunday evening, and it could be contained within your weekend. So
like micro adventure, isn't it?
Yeah, a micro retreat.
It's amazing.
But it's amazing how that amount of time away, it grows when you're in the outdoors. So in terms of the physical, so they will definitely be the least physical effort, because it's only over 1 night. The distances we're traveling are much shorter, and it's just not, your bag won't be as heavy because you're not having to carry food for 3 full days, so everything is just a little bit easier. So they are Definitely, if you're wanting something that's a little bit less to start with, then that would be a good place to start. I think we've got one in May and then one in September. So one in Cairngorms, one in West Highlands. Then on the women's wellbeing
Thanks,
journeys.
Mary. Sorry, Mary, she's going, so yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. The women's wellbeing journeys are all at the 2-night, 3 full day. So in terms of physical effort, it's a longer time out. It's 2 nights in a tent. Although actually what you find is a lot of time you don't sleep that well the first night, and the second night you get a really good sleep. So it can actually not be that, it can be less tiring to be away for longer in some ways. And we have the earth journeys and the sky journeys. And I think I might have scared some people by calling the sky journeys, because it's not to put people off, but it's more just to differentiate. So I would say that if you...
Not Sky, the island, is it? It's SKY.
Yes. No. I mean, the main difference is that, you know, if you are a person, I think in some ways it's better to think about it in terms of what, rather than how fit are you, what level of physical challenge do you want? Because I think you are, you know, if you enjoy walking, if you go walking sometimes, if you walk up a mountain every now and again, then the chances are that you are fit enough and strong enough to join our journeys, because, you know, they're slow and we take our time to enjoy these places. But the difference is, what level of physical challenge do you want? Because the earth journeys are going to stay lower. They are not going to involve as much ascent, so they will be physically easier. So if you would rather just kind of relax into the journey and not be thinking, oh my goodness, have we got another hill to go up, then that's probably the journey for you. You know, if you are somebody who would love to get in a few Munro summits and spend more time at higher ground, and maybe be in places that are a little bit more kind of challenging in terms of the sorts of terrain that we'll be moving through, then probably, you know, you're going to be drawn towards a sky journey. And you don't have to be super fit, you don't have to be climbing mountains every week, but if you would like, you know, that extra level of physical challenge and probably to feel a little bit more tired when you lay down in your tent in the evening, then go for that one. And if you have any doubt, would like to chat through any of this, then feel free to send me a message directly and we can have a chat, and I can talk through all sorts of things you can do as well to get your legs stronger and feel in a more confident place for these journeys come the summertime, because there's still plenty of time between now and then.
Yes. Yeah. Brilliant.
So I feel like that was a long waffle, but hopefully answered some people's questions.
Yeah. So maybe just as a quick recap, sort of, I guess there's 3 main offerings. One wild night, which is like the micro adventure, and that's open to any genders. Any genders? That's a weird way to say it. All genders. Yeah, so that's the micro adventure, and then we have the 2-night journeys or retreat, and they are either earth or sky, so low level or high level, and yeah, you choose based on the things that Anna's just said, your level of adventure and how high and how much you want to push yourself. Yeah. I think, is that all the things that we said, Anna?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm sorry if I haven't answered your question. But
quickly just check the question. Can you see the...
I am rubbish at doing this. I don't have to get them back. Okay, here we go. Right, I've got all the comments.
Yay.
So let's see.
Hippo is Mary, and she's gone now, so she was asking if she was the one that didn't go in the water, but she was in 2018, so that wasn't that one. Yeah.
So Cloud94 Forever says, retreat sounds wonderful, hope to join one this year. Yes, please do. Times like these, we need to hear about these uplifting mountain experiences. Brilliant. Yes, and you need, not only need to hear about them, you also need to go on them and enjoy them yourself.
Only if you want to, you don't need to.
Yeah, no, but it's amazing how much you can get from enjoying other people's as well, which is great. Yeah.
Not everybody's able to.
I already answered the question about the flowers. Yeah, so that's all the ones from here. So yeah, I think that's us. Great. So yes, I will stop waffling now, and hopefully we'll see you on a mountain journey sometime over the next few months.
Yeah. And if anyone is watching this and you do have more questions, please message Anna or I, or if there's anything you would like us to do, anything we haven't covered that you'd like us to do a live on, let us know as well. Cool.
Great.
Thanks anyone.
Bye.
Bye. How do I end?